In the illustrious canvas of the Golden Era of Bodybuilding, a period roughly spanning from the 1960s to the 1970s, there emerged legends whose physiques defined an epoch and captivated the world. This was an era characterized by the unprecedented popularity of bodybuilding, largely owing to the magnetic appeal of charismatic figures like Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sergio Oliva, and Lou Ferrigno, each showcasing massive, well-sculpted muscles that would set the tone for the physical ideals of the time. In the midst of these giants, Frank Zane, often heralded as the Chemist due to his scientific approach towards bodybuilding and his educational background in science, carved out a niche that was notably distinct and arguably revolutionary. Standing at a relatively modest 5'9" and competing at around 185 pounds, Zayn presented a physique that was notably less massive than many of his contemporaries. His emphasis was firmly on symmetry, proportion, and a meticulously defined musculature, presenting a visual aesthetic that was both appealing to hardcore bodybuilding fans and accessible to the general public. His 3 consecutive Mr. Olympia wins from 1977 to 1979 solidified his status as not just a champion, but a standard-bearer for an alternate conceptualization of the ideal bodybuilding physique. Zayn's approach to the sport was infused with a philosophical element that extended beyond mere physicality. His methodologies enveloped not just rigorous training, but also a deep commitment to mindfulness, mental discipline, and a holistic perspective on health and fitness. He was a proponent of meditation and visualization, incorporating these practices into his regimen and thereby introducing them to a wider audience within the bodybuilding community. Speculating a golden era without Frank Zane inevitably evokes a poignant void in the realm of bodybuilding. His absence might have veered the era even more toward the pursuit of sheer size, possibly at the expense of the balanced, sculpted aesthetics that he so iconically represented. Zayn offered a counterbalance, an alternative path on which aspiring bodybuilders could walk, emphasizing that mass was not the only avenue to success and recognition in the sport. Without him, the nuanced dialogue about body aesthetics, philosophical approaches towards training, and the incorporation of mental wellness practices into bodybuilding might have been significantly delayed, or perhaps presented in a different light. Engraving a legacy that starkly contrasted the prevailing archetypes, Frank Zane seamlessly sculpted a distinct niche within the celebrated annals of the Golden Era of Bodybuilding, imparting what we now herald as the Zayn blueprint. Zayn's physical aesthetic was a testament to the symphony between muscle and symmetry, advocating for a physique where every sinew and curve spoke to a harmonious balance. Zayn's competitive journey was punctuated with iconic rivalries, most notably with bodybuilders like Arnold Schwarzenegger and Lou Ferrigno, athletes who, while celebrated for their own unique physiques, notably contrasted Zayn's aesthetic with their immense size and volume. Zayn did not simply compete against these giants, he triumphed, securing the coveted Mr. Olympia title 3 times. His victories against larger competitors not only solidified his status, but underscored the legitimacy and appeal of his physique archetype, demonstrating that a balanced, aesthetic physique could stand toe-to-toe with sheer mass and emerge victorious. Without Zayn's presence, the competitive dynamics of the Golden Era would likely have been markedly different. His absence might have sculpted a platform where titans vied against titans, potentially resulting in a monolithic presentation of massive physiques battling for supremacy. The narrative of David versus Goliath, which Zayn so eloquently encapsulated, might have been scarce or non-existent, possibly shifting the paradigms of success in bodybuilding to be synonymous exclusively with size. In the late 1970s, specifically from 1977 to 1979, Zayn dominantly clinched 3 consecutive Mr. Olympia titles. a triumph that underpinned the viability of his aesthetic and methodologies over larger competitors. It conjures an intriguing speculation to ponder the potential victors in his absence. Athletes like Robbie Robinson, who secured a solid second place in 1977 and 1978, or perhaps Mike Manser, who was a formidable competitor and placed within the top 5 in 1979, might have seen their trajectories shift toward the Olympia title in the absence of Zayn's commanding performances. Yet without Zayn's measured and aesthetic presence on the stage, it is possible that the perceptual and evaluative criteria could have leaned even more heavily towards rewarding mass and volume, potentially altering the competitive outcomes and legacies of those years in a meaningful manner. When one inspects the pantheon of bodybuilding, Frank Zane's indomitable presence is remarkably palpable, even in the context of the contemporary epoch. The aesthetic and philosophical templates he pioneered during his competitive tenure have perpetuated through generations, steering the helm of bodybuilding into avenues that persistently echo his teachings and ideals. Zayn's legacy, denoted by a meticulous blend of symmetry and muscular definition, has remained not merely as a historical bookmark, but as an enduring standard that many modern bodybuilders aspire to emulate. Applying the lessons from Zayn's legacy to modern bodybuilding underpins the critical role that individual influences play in crafting the narrative and the trajectory of the sport. Zayn not only disrupted a prevailing archetype, but also introduced a nuanced dialogue regarding what constituted an ideal physique and how one could holistically achieve it. This permeation of Zayn's principles into the modern era underscores how vital individual contributions, particularly those that challenge or diversify existing paradigms, are in shaping and defining an era. His aesthetic, and most importantly the philosophy that underscored it, embodied an alternative, a divergent path that illustrated the plurality of ways one could achieve success in bodybuilding. Thank you for embarking on this journey with us today, exploring the ripples created by a man whose legacy was as much about mental fortitude as it was about physical prowess. Whether etching his silhouette in the golden annals of yesteryears or influencing the champions of today, Zayn's spirit endures, reminding us all that the celebration of the human form in its most aesthetic, symmetrical manifestation is a pursuit both noble and enchanting. If you've been inspired by this voyage through history and speculation, do consider liking the video and subscribing to our channel for more deep dives into the rich, intricate world of bodybuilding. Until next time.